Ferrari just took the first real step into the 2026 era. And the car they revealed doesn't look like a revolution. It looks like a gamble. Not because it's extreme, but because it isn't. It's quiet, controlled, deliberate, almost cautious. But underneath the clean surfaces and simple lines, there's a strategy. One that could either outsmart Red Bull and Mercedes, or leave Ferrari trailing behind before the first race even begins. Because today's debut wasn't just a launch. It was a declaration, and possibly a warning. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. And that's what made it feel even more important. On the morning of January 23rd, Ferrari did what only Ferrari still dares to do. They rolled the SF-26 straight onto the track. No teasers, no stage lights, just cold asphalt at Fiorano, and two drivers with everything to prove. Lewis Hamilton stepped into a Ferrari for the first time. Not in a simulator, not in a garage, but in the open, in front of cameras, in front of engineers, in front of fans. He didn't push. He didn't need to, because this wasn't about speed. It was about presence. Then came Leclerc. Same approach. Steady, composed, no headlines. Just laps. And in those first moments, something became obvious. This wasn't about showing the world a car. It was about showing them a decision. The car didn't look aggressive. It didn't look fast. It didn't even look finished. But it looked intentional. And that's what started the conversation. Because Ferrari wasn't trying to impress. They weren't chasing applause. They were making a statement, quietly. And when Ferrari chooses silence over spectacle, you know there's something bigger underneath. No wind tunnel claims. No lap time promises. Just one car. One track. And a feeling that what we were seeing wasn't the full story. At first glance, the SF-26 doesn't shock you. There are no radical side pods. No dramatic wing structures. No bold aerodynamic experiments like we've seen from Red Bull or even Aston Martin in recent years. Instead, Ferrari has gone for something that feels minimal. Tighter packaging, clean surfaces. Even the cooling inlets are more conservative than expected. They've opted for a symmetrical design. Nothing overly aggressive, nothing asymmetric or experimental. And that in Formula One is unusual in itself. One of the most talked about features? The pushrod suspension, front and rear. It's the first time they've gone this route since 2010. Why now? Because it helps lower the center of gravity, improves weight distribution, and unlocks more aerodynamic freedom underneath the chassis. Not flashy, but functional. And that's the theme here, function over flair. Even the shark fin, which has been growing on most other 2026 concepts, is barely noticeable. It's slim, controlled. It's not designed to wow. It's designed to blend into the air. There's a term in engineering, intentional simplicity. That's what this car is. It's not unfinished. It's filtered. Everything that doesn't serve a purpose is gone, which makes what's left feel even more deliberate. Ferrari doesn't want you to stare at this car. They want you to underestimate it. Because what really matters, the active aero, the energy deployment, the thermal behavior, that's all happening in ways you can't see. So yes, it looks basic. But in Formula One, basic isn't a flaw. It's often a disguise. If the bodywork was subtle, the engine is even quieter, but not in sound, in intent. The SF-26 is powered by the new 067/6 unit, a fresh design built specifically for the 2026 regulations. Ferrari didn't recycle their 2025 layout. They didn't evolve something familiar. They started over. Because 2026 isn't just about more electric power. It's about building an engine that can survive the regulation freeze without surprises. And that's where Ferrari made their most unglamorous, yet most revealing choice. They avoided the so-called thermal exploit, the combustion trick that Red Bull and Mercedes are rumored to be testing, using high-pressure thermal spikes to boost energy recovery. On paper, it gives you more power. In practice, it pushes you right to the edge of what's legal. Ferrari stayed away from it. They stuck with a 16:1 compression ratio. Not 17, not 18 like others. They used steel cylinder heads instead of lighter, riskier aluminum. It's heavier. It's less efficient. But it doesn't deform. It doesn't gamble. This decision didn't come from a marketing team. It came from the legal department. Because in Ferrari's mind, this wasn't just about horsepower. It was about protection. If the FIA clamps down mid-season, like it did in 2019, Ferrari won't have to backpedal. They won't need emergency updates. They won't lose reliability trying to stay inside the gray area. But that kind of restraint comes at a price. Simulations suggest Ferrari may be giving up 2 to 3 tenths per lap, maybe more at power-heavy circuits, all for a rule that might not even be enforced. And that's the problem. If the FIA doesn't act, then Ferrari didn't just play it safe. They played themselves. This is where the real story begins. Because Ferrari's engine isn't just about combustion. It's about confidence, or the lack of it. When they chose to play it safe, they weren't just avoiding a technical risk. They were betting on the system, on the FIA, on a set of regulations that are still evolving, still vague in places, and still open to interpretation. Ferrari believes the current gray zone, especially around compression behavior and hybrid deployment, won't stay gray for long. They think the FIA will step in. And when it does, the teams that push the boundaries will be forced to pull back, remap their engines, dial down their energy recovery systems, sacrifice performance just to stay legal. In that moment, Ferrari becomes the one team that didn't have to adjust, because they started inside the line. They didn't try to find the edge. They built their concept so the edge wouldn't matter. But what if that moment never comes? What if the FIA stays silent? What if no directive is issued before Bahrain? Then Ferrari's logic collapses, because they didn't build the fastest possible car. They built the safest one. And that's the hidden risk. Because this isn't just a technical gamble, it's a political one. Ferrari is trusting the FIA to protect the spirit of the rules, not just the wording. But trust in Formula One isn't free. And if that trust isn't rewarded, this car, this engine, this entire philosophy could become the most expensive miscalculation Ferrari has made in a decade. Let's imagine the scenario Ferrari doesn't want to talk about. Let's say the FIA does nothing. No directive, no redefinition of compression ratios, no crackdown on thermal behavior. Then what happens? Red Bull and Mercedes? They keep their edge. Their aggressive combustion strategies stay untouched. They gain straight-line speed, faster energy recovery, and better deployment out of slow corners. And they won't have to compromise reliability to get it. Ferrari? They're left holding a clean engine and a slower one. They'll lose 2 or 3 tenths in every high-power zone. They'll lose acceleration in qualifying. They'll struggle to defend positions in DRS zones. And they won't have a mechanical upgrade path because the engines are frozen. And it won't just be the car that suffers. It will be the drivers. Leclerc is entering what should be his peak. He's stayed loyal. He's endured rebuilds. But this was supposed to be his car, finally tailored to him. If it turns out slow, that frustration will boil quickly. Hamilton's case is even riskier. He left a team he helped build to make history, to be the one who brought Ferrari back to the top. But if the SF26 can't fight at the front, that storyline ends before it ever begins. Internally, this would tear at the team, because this wasn't a technical failure. It was a strategic one. They chose caution over speed, and if that caution goes unrewarded, the pressure won't fall on the FIA. It'll fall on Ferrari. And in a season shaped by locked power units and limited development, one wrong call in January can echo through every lap until December. The SF26 is out. It's real. It's running laps. And on the surface, everything looks calm. But underneath, this car is built on tension. Not between engineers, but between institutions. Between what the rules say and what the FIA will choose to enforce. Ferrari isn't just racing Red Bull and Mercedes. They're racing the calendar, waiting for a directive, waiting for the moment the FIA draws a line between innovation and infringement. If that moment comes before Bahrain, Ferrari wins without turning a wheel. They become the only team ready to race under tightened rules. The others will scramble. And Ferrari? They'll just keep running. But if that moment doesn't come, if the FIA stays quiet, then Ferrari is the only top team that played by rules no one else followed. They'll start 2026 behind, not because they failed, but because they trusted too much. And that's the uncomfortable truth. Ferrari's biggest risk wasn't mechanical. It was institutional. They bet their season, maybe more, on clarity that still hasn't arrived. So yes, we've seen the SF26. We've seen the design, the laps, the restraint. But the real story? It hasn't happened yet. It's waiting, somewhere between Maranello, Geneva, and a regulation document that could change everything.